UFC 266, Volkanovski versus Ortega just took place, and I'm going to go through the entire card, starting with the early prelims, ending with the main event, giving my reaction and breakdown to every single fight on the card, and my overall event recap, starting with the early prelim opener of, and it is currently 8:30 AM UK time, but I'm going to keep trucking on. Jonathan Pearce versus Omar Moraes opened up the card. Jonathan Pearce gets the submission in the second round via rear naked choke. I thought Omar Moraes was going to be able to stuff the takedowns for longer. I picked him to win this one, but Jonathan Pearce is relentless. He has great pacing. He kept on the takedowns against Omar Moraes. There is a moment in this fight, however, even though Jonathan Pearce's grappling was very good and he's earned that nickname JSP, great grappling skills, Omar Moraes had a dash choke in the second round that he is going to cry about for a very long time. It was in, it was done, the dash choke was locked in, completely done. He lets it go, he loses position, ends up on bottom. Jonathan Pearce ends up on top, of course, gets the rear naked choke, and it was just mainly that Omar Moraes just didn't really have the energy or the will anymore to continue past Jonathan Pearce's pressure, and Jonathan Pearce gets the submission in the rear naked choke fashion in the second round. Come a long way from losing to Joe Lozon in his debut, I'll tell you that much for sure. Jonathan Pearce has massively improved and got a rear naked choke over Omar Moraes, and we've got another contender at featherweight on our hands. Jonathan Pearce looked amazing against Omar and finished him in the second round. Chikadze took this guy to a decision. You know what I'm saying? So this is a great win. I know it's different styles, but Jonathan Pearce, great grappling, relentless pace, great submission win. Moving on to the next fight up the card, Matthew Semelberger versus Martin Sano. Martin Sano now drops to 4-3. He shouldn't have been in the UFC in the first place. I said Matthew Semelberger is going to destroy him immediately into the first round, and that's exactly what happened. Matthew Semelberger went out there and made Martin Sano look like Martin Sano. He flattened him out cold. In the first 15 seconds, he now has 2 UFC wins out of his 3 fights that have been finished in the first 15 seconds. I think he has 4 fights, though, because he had a fight with Carlson Minus at one point as well. But even still, 2 fights now out of his overall 4 in the UFC have ended in under 15 seconds. One against Jason Witt, this one against Martin Sano. Beautiful right hand, straight on the jaw. Sano was there open for it all day, and Semelberger gets the KO win brutally, goes crazy afterwards. Wants to get right back in there as well, which I'm a big fan of. Matthew Semelberger, man, amazing win against Martin Sano. Didn't get a bonus for it. We'll talk about that at the end of this because that's quite infuriating. It was such a great KO. I know it's Martin Sano, but it was such a great KO. It deserves a bit of respect. 15 seconds, come on. Moving on up the card, Cody Brundage versus Nick Maximov. I picked Nick Maximov to get a submission in the third round, and Cody Brundage, man, he showed up, honestly. Nick Maximov was good. Brundage had great takedown defense in the first round, landed a couple of decent shots. I still gave it to Nick Maximov. He was on top for longer. He had control time, had a couple of submission attempts here and there that looked like they could have been in, but not really, like he was going for the neck. But Brundage would sort of tuck his chin in and not let him get his arm under the neck. But Nick Maximov would keep on him, knee up the fire, land a lot of total strikes on Cody Brundage in the fight. I think he won the first round, won the second round. I can see an argument for Brundage winning the third, however. Nick Maximov, good win. Good performance overall. Nothing too crazy, but when you consider that Cody Brundage is a great wrestler, and I know he took this on short notice, but he had a full camp because he was supposed to be competing on the Contender Series coming up soon. Nick Maximov did okay for a jiu-jitsu guy to be taking down a wrestler in an MMA match and controlling him on the ground. Very good performance by Nick Maximov. Good scrambles in the second round when Brundage decided to shoot on him. I picked Nick Maximov to win. I thought he'd get the finish in the third, but Cody Brundage is tough. Had a couple of good moments in the third himself, but Nick Maximov is so relentless. He wants his takedowns. He's going to get his takedowns, and he goes for them, man. He makes sure he gets them. He knows exactly where he needs to fight to be. Nick Maximov gets it done. Moving on up the card on the prelims, Uros Medic versus Jalin Turner. Jalin Turner gets a TKO win, or submission win, sorry, in the first round against Uros Medic after hurting him to the body beforehand, which is why I registered it as a TKO. Hurting him to the body beforehand, landing a couple of big shots. It basically was an even fight in the start of the first round. Both guys landing some shots here and there. Then Uros Medic went for a head kick. It got caught up on the shoulder of Jalin Turner, the worst place for your head kick to end up. Caught up on the shoulder of Jalin Turner. Uros Medic falls over. Jalin Turner falls on top of him into side control. And all of that first round explosiveness of Uros Medic is done. Has to defend on the ground, worked his way back up to his feet, but Jalin Turner put the pressure on, landed some really good body shots, and you could just see Uros not liking that he wasn't destroying someone in the first round. He's never faced adversity before in his career, and now he has against Jalin Turner, and he did not do too well facing adversity. Jalin Turner gets the job done by first round submission. Good underdog win. I didn't see this one coming. Good win by Jalin Turner. Good underdog. I picked Uros Medic. I got it wrong. I went 2 for 2 on the early prelims, but things pick up from here. Moving on to the prelims of the card. Roxanne Modaferri versus Taila Santos. I said that Taila Santos would get this one done by decision. She went out there and got this one done by decision, and she went out there against Roxanne Modaferri and just beat her at her own game. Usually Roxanne's the one exposing some grappling holes in these contenders' game. But Taila Santos went out there, landed some good shots on the feet, and then went for takedowns when she needed them. Secured half guard, secured side control, landed total strikes, landed significant strikes, got the takedowns when she needed them. There was one silly moment that she had in this fight where she rocked Roxanne Modaferri so badly, but then decided to take her down afterwards and just lay in her guard, which was very interesting to see because I reckon she definitely could have got a finish over Roxanne Modaferri, but either way, she doesn't go for it. Taila Santos gets the takedowns and secures herself a unanimous decision win, and yeah, top 10 flyweights, I guess. Roxanne Modaferri was a top 10 flyweight in that fight that you just watched. Crazy in that division, but anyway. Roxanne Modaferri loses. Looked like she didn't know what she was doing out there. Looks partially blind out there as well. But respect, she's been out there so many times. Taila Santos got this one done. She's actually kind of good, and she has good grappling. Moving on, up the card, I picked Daukaus by KO in the first round. Kind of happened. Also happened in the second round, however, as well. Shamil Abdurakhimov saved by the bell at the end of the first round. And man, I've never seen someone with more spit in their mouth. The commentators were dead on. Every time Daukaus hit him on the chin, spit would spray out of his mouth all over the place. Maybe Abdurakhimov just fucking pronounces his surname Abdurakhimov in his head in the fight, and it just builds up saliva. But I don't know. He just kept getting tagged. But honestly, let's talk about this fight. Shamil actually showed some problems in Daukaus' game. Daukaus landed big shots. He's more explosive, he's younger, he's faster, he's more powerful than Shamil. And Shamil's got a bit of a worse chin. Shamil landed a lot of good shots on Daukaus in the first round. It actually looked like I was going to be incorrect until the end of the first round, where Daukaus committed to a left hook that barely touched Shamil on the chin perfectly with like the middle knuckle, spun his jaw around and put him down. I thought he was going to get a finish in the first round, but he goes out there, wins the second round, calls out Miocic on the microphone amongst some other names, but that's the main one I like to hear because police officer, fireman, I'm sure there could be a potential chance of that happening. But Shamil Abdurakhimov, man, got KO'd in the second round really badly. Weird stoppage. It could have been stopped immediately, in my opinion, but they ended up having to make a real finishing sequence of it that was very messy because I felt like Shamil was out cold, but Daukaus was just on top of him, so it didn't really look like he was out cold. Either way, Shamil gets KO'd in the second round and Daukaus moves up the rankings. But yes, Shamil was doing very good in the first round, though. Landing good shots to the body of Daukaus, landing good shots to the head of Daukaus. Daukaus left a lot of openings to get himself hit, and that's something to look out for as he moves up the division and takes on some of those elite guys, because as much as it's Shamil Abdurakhimov, he's a fat old man, really. So good win by Daukaus, KO in the second round, very impressive performance. He got the finish that he always goes for and gets. There were some moments in that first round, though, you can't deny, where you were like, Shamil's doing pretty good here, in all honesty. Moving on up the card, Dan Hooker versus Nasrat Haqparast. I went with Dan Hooker here by TKO. Apparently, Nasrat's chin is made of granite and he got new surgery after the Drew Dober fight because he ate some knees to the face against the cage that put down many of her lightweight. Like, they rocked Poirier in the second round and almost finished him there. Nasrat took those knees against the cage. I don't know how he took them. Dan Hooker's landing brutal knees against him, right to the jaw, setting him up perfectly, grabbing his head and yanking his head down into them as he's lifting these knees up. Nasrat takes them well, so Dan Hooker goes, you know what, I'll mix in the grappling a little bit, and he did very well out there, man. Dominated the third round, won the second round very convincingly with grappling as well as beating him in the stand-up. Nasrat was swinging bombs, he just was never going first, and Dan Hooker just had the momentum of the fight from the very start, just knew that he could control range, started it with the front kicks to the body, started peppering some jabs and some straight right hands, and Nasrat just couldn't really figure out that range. He couldn't find a way on the inside. Dan Hooker started first. He started, he kept it that way. Nasrat could never really change the momentum around, and Dan Hooker just was the guy doing it, and he was leading the dance. And Nasrat was reacting rather than acting. You know what I'm saying? Dan Hooker gets this one done. Great performance by Dan Hooker, and of course, not only a great performance by Dan Hooker with the takedowns, with the improved grappling skills, with the improved stand-up skills, while showing that he still has a good chin because he did take some big shots, he showed an amazing amount of skills in the post-fight interview department again, knows exactly what he's doing on the mic, pays respects to Nasrat, bigs himself up at the same time, calls out Beneil Dariush, perfect call out. Beneil Dariush does not have an opponent right now in the lightweight division. Apparently Makhachev is going to call out Dariush if he beats Rafael Dos Anjos. However, if he doesn't beat Dos Anjos, and Dan Hooker's the one who's putting his hand up, he could get that jump up against Beneil Dariush. It's a good matchup. It gets him right back into the top 5, looking for title elimination bouts. We'll see what they do with Dan Hooker next, but I reckon he maybe should have chucked a little sly dig at Conor McGregor, maybe, because that's going to be someone who needs to come back fight at lightweight as well. Either way, Dan Hooker looked great, looked reinvigorated against a dangerous contender in Nasrat Haqparast, and had a great performance, completely shut down Nasrat and dominated him over 3 rounds. Nasrat had some success, but it was really just a Dan Hooker show. Moving on up the card, Marlon Moraes versus Merab Dvalishvili now. Don't know what Merab is made of. In that first round, Moraes literally put him down about 4 times, I want to say. It wasn't like officially 4 times according to knockdowns, it was once, but it was about 4 times he kind of put Merab down in that first round and had him staggering all over the place. There was a moment in the first round when Moraes is going, "What are you doing?" While Merab is literally running away from Moraes because he's so badly rocked. He doesn't even know where he is. It was like when Overeem got back up after the Jairzinho Rosenstruck stop and he just started wandering off like an NPC over here to this direction. And then Merab did the same thing, all over the place, completely rocked, completely out of it, gets the takedown, ends up on top, and you could just tell on Moraes' face, fuck, I've done it again, I've blown my wad, I've gone for the finish, I haven't got it, time to get TKO'd or finished. And Merab put on the pressure and got himself a big finish in the second round to ground and pound. I know the fight could have been stopped a bit earlier, and there's going to be some complaints about the referee, but Moraes was doing the correct things to try and survive that fight. He was trying to grab on. He was trying to scramble. He even made his way back up to his feet for a certain moment. But then in the second round, gets dropped badly. Merab goes for a takedown again. And yeah, Marlon Moraes. Fuck, what a sad career that is. But great from Merab. Really good performance. Showed that he had a great chin. Amazing ground and pound this time as well. Much more dominant on the ground than we've seen him before. Merab Dvalishvili, man, in the top of the division, didn't call out anyone's name. I think he's maybe looking at I don't know who he's looking at. The winner of Marlon Vera versus Frankie Edgar. Could be a great fight for Merab in the co-main event of a fight night maybe, and then we'll figure out things from there. But good win by Merab. Great performance against Marlon Moraes, who's a top contender. Gets to finish in the second round that he so needs to put himself on the map and get some respect. I picked Merab. I picked Dan Hooker. I picked Daukaus. I picked Taila Santos. Clean sweep on the prelims. Moving on to the main card. Jessica Andrade versus Cynthia Calvillo. I've seen her nips. I'm going to go, well, I'm not going to go with anything. Jessica Andrade gets a first round TKO. Pretty slow fight while it was on. Andrade walking her down, landing some good leg kicks. Calvillo going to the body with some jabs, moving away. It was so obvious what was going to happen as soon as the fight started, though. Andrade, cold, calm, calculated, walking down Cynthia Calvillo. Walking her down. No, not a fear in the world. Calvillo. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, the jab to the body. I'll try that. Oh my god, I've got to run again. She's coming. Oh no, she sees me again. Like, it's just, there was a different energy out there. Calvillo was prey. Andrade was predator. That's how it went. Andrade got the finish in the first round, landed some good shots against the cage. I know it was a bit of a weird stoppage, some people said, but Cynthia Calvillo quit, basically, against the cage. We'll get to that fight in a second, but Cynthia Calvillo quit. Bad performance. Didn't have a good time for herself. I picked Andrade to win by TKO. She went out there and got the TKO. I thought she'd do it a little bit slower, but she went straight to work, chopping at the legs, cutting off the angles, leaving there nowhere for Cynthia Calvillo to run. Rocked her on the feet multiple times. Eventually, it was too much for Calvillo, and she had to give up position and get smashed against the cage by Andrade. Great win by Andrade. Moving on up the card. I picked Curtis Blaydes to win by TKO. He Curtis Blaydes his way to a decision in a very uneventful matchup, but I'll tell you this. It was about as entertaining as the first 3 rounds of Shevchenko versus Murphy. More entertaining, I would say, than the first 3 rounds of Shevchenko versus Murphy. But Blaydes gets booed out of the arena, and Shevchenko gets a standing ovation. Blaydes Just how he does it, you know what I mean? Like, he gets on top, sits there, total strikes his way to a decision win. He got the win, and that's all he cares about, because I think Blaydes realizes, listen, unless I'm KOing everyone, I'm not going to get respect at heavyweight. Only heavyweights that destroy people get massive respect. You know what I mean? Even Miocic didn't get respect until he started putting people out cold. I feel like Blaydes just realizes, like, these guys don't like me. If I lose, they're going to ring me up on FaceTime and say, haha, you got knocked out, like Derek Lewis's fans did. I don't give a fuck. I'm getting paid. He made 200,000 plus about 20k in Venom bonus. 220,000 for Curtis Blaydes. That's what he cares about. He went out there. He got the job done against a dangerous opponent. Stood with him a little bit as well. And let's not forget, Curtis Blaydes did this with one fucking eye. Beat Rosenstruik with one eye after the first round. Good performance by Curtis Blaydes. Not fun at all. Not entertaining at all. But he wins. And that's all I can ask for if I pick him. Because I want him to win. Because it's my reputation on the line. Good win by Curtis Blaydes. Not going to blow anyone's hair back. Called out a couple of opponents. You don't get Miocic after that. You don't get a fight with Marcin. I don't know, he's calling out a lot of names like the loser of Ngannou versus Gane or the winner. Like he's going to get a title shot after that performance. Delusional by Curtis Blaydes. Maybe he's just really badly been hurt by Rosenstruik in the fight. He ate a flying knee at one point, which was very devastating that Rosenstruik landed. But, good win by Curtis Blaydes. He won against Rosenstruik. That's all you can ask for. And he got the job done. And now I guess he can take on the winner of Volkov versus Tybura. I think that's the perfect matchup. Curtis Blaydes gets it done. Moving on up the card. Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler 2. Now, I've had some heat on my reaction video, and I'm going to check the comments of that reaction video right now. Okay? Because I feel like the dislike ratio is going to be quite high. No, it's actually in agreement. Good. Right. I think the fight, in Lawler's eyes, was to give Nick Diaz a bit of a fight. Make him have a chance. He was throwing fake punches in the first round. I swear to God he was throwing fake punches in the first round. You can watch the first round. There's certain moments of that first round where he's throwing fake punches. I've made a full reaction to this, so this is going to be a bit brief. But it was a great fight while it lasted. Let's just talk about the fight itself. Great fight while it lasted. Body shots from Nick Diaz. Body shots from Robbie Lawler. Leg kicks from Robbie Lawler were doing wonders for him because Nick Diaz, of course, like a Diaz, sits so heavy on that lead leg. Hasn't eaten a calf kick in so long. Lawler chops away at that calf. Lands on the leg kick multiple times. Lands good shots to the body. A couple of good knees on Nick Diaz as well. A couple of good shots upstairs. Nick Diaz starts doing good. I actually thought he could have been winning. I actually don't know what the scorecards were. I'm going to search it up right now, actually. Diaz versus Lawler 2 scorecards. I wouldn't be surprised if Nick won both rounds, or at least a second, maybe. I'll have a look right now for you guys, live while we do this event recap, because I feel like Nick Diaz could have been winning on the scorecards. They gave the first round to Nick Diaz, the second round to Robbie Lawler because of the ending where he had a big moment, but yeah. Some judge had it 2-0 to Lawler, I understand. One judge had it 1 round to Diaz, 1 round to Lawler, same with the other judge. It was a competitive fight while it lasted, regardless of what I think about actually what went down. But Nick Diaz got dropped by the weakest looking check hook in the third round, but it dropped him. It was a good check hook that landed, put Nick Diaz down to 1 knee. And then and this hurts me to say, he quit, and it's not his fault. He probably doesn't want to be in there. I'm not taking shots at him for doing so, but he did. He looked at Herb Dean. He wasn't badly hurt, and he looked at Herb Dean and went, yeah, fucking call it off. I'm done. I got dropped. I don't fucking care anymore. And just done that. Like, he just doesn't want to be in there anymore. Let's not get him back in there. I saw Brett Okamoto on the ESPN saying that Ben Askren should be next for him. Brett Okamoto shouldn't have a fucking job. I have no idea how that guy got a job. I genuinely have no idea. He has dirt on someone in the UFC offices. I have no idea how that fucking guy has a job. He has no idea about MMA in some interviews that you see of him. He has bullshit points and statements that he makes. He has no personality. He has the most mundane and monotone voice. It wouldn't even put me to sleep. It'd make me wake up and want to beat something. Like, it can't even send you off to sleep in a good way, his monotone voice. Either way, enough ranting about Brett Okamoto, but either way, Lawler got the win in the third round. I maybe would do Nick Diaz versus no one next. I don't know. Nick Diaz versus Carlos Condit, a submission underground would be good. And then maybe do like a Nick Diaz Tito Ortiz in boxing, get him a free win. And then maybe do like a Nate Diaz versus Robbie Lawler. That could be a good matchup. Good fight while it lasted. Suspect in the first round with the way Lawler was throwing punches that were definitely not intended on hurting Nick Diaz. Other than that, though, good fight while it lasted. Great scrap. Not the result that people wanted, but, you know, it happened. Moving on, up the card. Valentina Shevchenko versus Lauren Murphy. Right, yeah. Very good performance by Valentina Shevchenko again. Amazing performance. She got the finish in the 4th round against Lauren Murphy. Takedowns when she needed them at the end of the rounds to secure dominance. Good ground and pound where she needed them as well. Total strikes, she won that by far. Significant strikes. She was just lighting up Lauren Murphy at range. Right. I'm going to make a video about this fight tomorrow. Shevchenko, dominance. TKO in the 4th round. Got a great win. People go crazy over her. Speaks 4 different languages in the post-fight interview. Very good stuff from Valentina Shevchenko. Amazing performance. Completely dominant. Completely flawless. Untouchable in the flyweight division. Is that because of how good she is? Or is that because Lauren Murphy was a mother of a few and picked up MMA when she was in her early 30s, I want to say? Or like late 20s, and literally has no fucking idea what she's doing out there. She lost to Joanne Calderwood. She lost to Andrea Lee. She got gifted both of those decisions because they needed a fresh matchup for Valentina Shevchenko. She wasn't even throwing shit. And they claimed she attempted 91 significant strikes. I'm calling bullshit. She didn't look like she attempted 10 real ones. She went out there, threw a couple of superwoman punches, couple of shots like with some kicks that weren't even kicks. They were like half-assed attempts at kicks, like they weren't even committed shots that she was trying to do anything with. She just flung a leg out there and then was like, oh no, back to my corner again. Don't want to get touched here. They don't try and win against Shevchenko. I understand I'm going to get shit for that, man. But like, these women don't know what they're doing at women's flyweight. They're all completely shit. They're all complete garbage. Shevchenko is literally the queen of a non-existent division, essentially, with no skill level whatsoever. Maybe there will be a time when the Manon Fiorots get to the top of the division and some of these other prospects, like the Casey O'Neills, undefeated, get to the top of the flyweight division. It's so hard for me to say how amazing Shevchenko is when her opponents don't know how to throw a fucking punch correctly. I'm sorry. Great performance by Shevchenko. Speaking my mind here. Those women in that division do not know what they're doing technically in any way whatsoever. That's it. Credit for the win against Andrade, but man, Lauren Murphy, throw a fucking punch. It's a title fight. You're going to lose anyway. You know you're going to lose anyway. Try and fucking win. Try something. I swear to God, those 90 significant strikes are absolute bullshit. She did not try that many whatsoever at all. Shevchenko gets it done in the 4th round, though. Very dominant. Great champion, of course. It's just like that division is so bad in comparison to her. It's maybe not even about how great she is. She's amazing. She beat Joanna and Jacek. Those wins I love credit for. I love giving her credit for those wins. But these other women's flyweights that have come up through women's flyweight, they aren't at all good in any way. They're just free wins. Free legacy. Whatever. Moving on up the card. Alexander Volkanovski versus Brian Ortega. Volkanovski is a Terminator. Does not stop. You will not stop him unless you're a welterweight. That's his only loss in his entire career. At 5'6" at welterweight, I know. He will not stop. You cannot stop him. You can put him in the tightest submission. Won't stop. Keep fighting. Laugh at you. He was laughing at Ortega. He was making smiley faces, doing eye signals to Ortega in a triangle choke from T-City. Does not care. Keeps coming forward. Keeps pushing. Keeps the pressure on. Keeps pounding. Keeps whooping. People are complaining about 50-45. Man, Ortega didn't win a round. Straight up, Ortega didn't win a round, and there are some arguments for 10-8 rounds. People are talking about what a war it was. The only reason this fight was a war, let's be real, is because of 2 punches Ortega landed at the end of the 5th round and 2 submission attempts that were close. The Darce choke was a good attempt. It looked like it was in, but you can't get Darces from that position. The angle was completely wrong. So it wasn't really a great submission attempt, even though it was an attempt. Other than that, though, other than the guillotine and the triangle, this wasn't a war. This was a outclassing in the first 2 rounds by Volkanovski on the feet, completely outclassed Ortega. Then in the 3rd round, destruction from Volk, 2 close submission attempts from Ortega, Back to demolition from Volkanovski afterwards, pounding out Ortega at the end of that round, smashing him to smithereens. Would have been a 10-8 if those submission attempts weren't so close. Who knows, you might be able to give it that anyway. He was pounding the fuck out of Ortega. Ortega couldn't get back to his stall. He had to be helped. That's illegal. If you have to get back to your stall on your own upon the referee's warning for you to do so, or the fight needs to be cancelled. One thing I do want to mention that I didn't mention in my actual reaction video. They were giving Ortega so much time to recover. He's done at the end of the third. Well, we need a minute to check on him. Can you see this? Yeah, I can see it. It's one finger. Yeah, but like, can you really see it though? For an extra minute or so? Quickly recover, Ortega. You're the star here. Everyone likes you and they don't like Volkanovski, even though you're a steroid cheat. I respect Ortega. He's tough as they come. A very tough man. And he went after Volkanovski in the 5th round. Because Volkanovski knew he'd won the 5th round. He doubled Ortega on strikes nearly. 50-26 in the 5th. Dominated him in the 4th round completely. 36-4, I believe it was. The Darce choke was the only thing close. Other than that, Volkanovski just pounded the shit out of Ortega completely. 10-8 in the 4th round, I believe. He dominated Ortega and everyone's acting like it was a back and forth war. Other than 2 submission attempts that were real and 2 punches in the 5th round because Volko knew he'd fucking won and didn't have to do anything to continue and win that fight. Volk dominated him. Outclassed him. Outranged him. Outstruck him. Fucking maneuvered him on the ground in certain situations into getting into dominant positions, landing ground and pound shots. He didn't even have to go on the ground. He could have kept this standing and finished Ortega a bit earlier, I truly believe. He went to the ground just to prove a fucking point. I'm going to smash this guy everywhere. You get no rest with me. I'm passing your guard. I'm smashing you to bits on the ground. I'm stacking your guard. And I'm fucking raining down shots like an absolute Terminator. Volkanovski is a future GOAT in the making. 23-1. 20-0 at featherweight. Undefeated in the weight class. 20-0. 20-fight win streak. Beat Ronaldo in a 3-rounder. Broke a full Camp Mendez. Beat Holloway twice. Smashed Ortega. It wasn't a war. Let's just say that. Volko's a fucking great beast. The best featherweight in the world. Ortega's very good and very tough. But this war, back and forth war that we're talking about here, it just wasn't. In fact, other than the submission attempts, does that even get fight of the night? Like, I get it, but man, Volko I feel like is being overshadowed even by the analysis of what happened. Volkanovski, if you look at the interview statements that they give out, like Mac Life gave an interview. The title is not Volk talks about his dominant performance. It's the guillotine was deep. Like, oh fuck, I'm about to lose the title this deep. Like, I'm about to lose the title deep. Like, I don't know. I just feel like the narrative is still, oh, what a war. What a tough guy. Like, Ortega's tough. I get it. I get it completely. But Volko was just outclassing him the whole way through. And people are questioning 50-45. He won every round. Clearly. Good stuff, though, from Ortega. Tough, came back in the 5th when Volk knew he'd won it and didn't need to win anymore. Good win, though, from Volkanovski. Proved himself as a fucking savage. Hopefully he gets the respect he deserves. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Click that button up there. Toodle pip. I'll see you later. Goodbye. Time for bed. At fucking 9 AM. Goodbye.